You know, who says we can't get along with the libs? Didn't Mayor Beater call Boise the welcoming city? Boise's a welcoming city, so why can't we be welcoming to the Oregon Senate Republicans? We're welcoming you. Come in, have a good time, spend money, hang out at hotels, go to the museums, maybe hit the trails, that sort of thing. Get rested, get rejuvenated. Yeah. Who says we don't get along with Mayor Beater? We're a welcoming city, so a sanctuary radio station in a welcoming city. Blessed to be with you, Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. Social media, it's everywhere, but is it on the downside? Joining us now, financial advisor, success coach, former Miss All-American Missouri, is Becky Mitchell to talk a little bit about what's going on online. Becky, good morning.
Good morning, Kevin. Thanks for having me.
Great to have you with us here. So all we hear about is how great and powerful social media is. Is there another side to the story that we're not hearing anywhere else?
You know, social media, in my opinion, and, you know, everyone can take it or leave it for what it's worth, but whether you like it or not, it's there and it's growing and it just continues to grow, even though, you know, at the moment I do think it's kind of shifted a little bit. So with the change, I personally, no, I don't think so. I think that there are still going to be influencers, and that's what I've seen anyway.
What's interesting, though, for those, Becky, that grew up in the brick and mortar America, the analog world, they may or may not be impressed with the number of followers people have. In fact, now when you get a job, whether it's in media or wherever, people want to know your followers and your influencers. And then the story on Fox News where you have somebody with over 2 million followers failed to buy the minimum number of T-shirts. Do you have any insight on that and how that works? Does it really necessarily mean because you have all these people that allegedly follow you, does that mean they're going to do what you say?
No, I don't think so, Kevin. I see it for this. Followers versus genuine engagement are two very different things. An audience versus customers is two very different things. So, you know, I don't follow this girl. I think her name is Ari, but, you know, some people said that they would buy them. Okay, sure. But if you've been in business very long, you're going to know when you deal with people, you deal with all kinds. You know, you're going to get lied to. People are not going to keep their word. And unfortunately, that's just people. So, you know, as far as all that, I just think that whenever you look at followers versus truly engaging with your audience, and, you know, from what I've seen, I don't know if people said she didn't market it correctly. I don't really follow her. So as far as that, maybe she didn't, but definitely engaging with her audience was highly important. I think she probably did miss that step. So,
what do you make of influencers in politics? You think that translates?
I do. I really do. You know, it's kind of like being in high school, you know,
Okay.
Whenever the popular people, you know, whatever they were wearing or whatever was the fad, that's what everyone was doing. And people, just being people, are influenced so easily. So.
Well, but then you have the move by some of these outfits in the name of getting rid of hate speech that they're getting rid of conservatives, like on the YouTube and such. And it always amazed me that we have this horrible ISIS and all these bad things on social media that none of the social media companies will go after. Yet, if you're a conservative and you mention, hey, Iran's a terrorist state, you get wiped out. Is there a double standard, do you believe, for conservatives versus the libs?
I do. I absolutely do. And there again, you're going to know this, but a majority is going to disagree with us on that because it's all about them, unfortunately. And it's really crazy, though. When you step back and you actually take a look at the full picture, it doesn't really take a lot of common sense to figure out, you know, some things are just as they are, and people are constantly making mountains out of molehills, I say. So.
Well, what's your advice for people that may be wary of the social media? What would you say to them, Becky?
I would say, you know what, keep plugging away in whatever, whatever your space is. Sometimes social media has to come into play with that. Sometimes it doesn't. I'm on social media simply because I do speaking, and then with my company, M&H Consulting, we do, funding for various companies, people. If you're not happy with the space, don't pay attention to it. That's really simple, I know, but
sure.
And if you have to be in the space, do what you have to do, get out of it. And I personally don't like to be bogged down by things that have nothing of importance towards me or my audience or what I'm doing. So a lot of these things, it's particularly the liberals, they'll get into this or that, and it just kind of goes off totally left field. And for me, I have to stay focused. So that's something that I find really important to do, is just stay focused and get in and out, doing whatever you feel you have to. And so, like my husband has a business, and he doesn't have to be on social media because it's locally owned. So.
All right. Well, Becky, we appreciate you. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me, Kevin.
All right. Becky Mitchell joining us. Let's get to Jim in Meridian talking about the refugees. Good morning, sir.
Hey, good morning, Kevin. 2 comments on the refugee situation, please. One, I believe the governor and the Idaho congressman should be demanding that 0 refugees are brought into Idaho, and it's easy to see why. We have homeless veterans and homeless American children by the hundreds here in Treasure Valley, and yet these foreigners are being given a free apartment and brought into an area with a housing shortage. What sense does that make? We've had one of the refugees that have been brought in. There's Kurbanoff, who was planning to blow up Gowan Field out there. The FBI got him just in time. He was going to kill some Idaho women and children out at Gowan. And the sexual assault, the little girl in Twin, plus the alleged gang rape in Kuna. So we don't need these refugees at all, period. Now, the really shocking thing to me, I just found out a few weeks ago, and how many of our Patriot LDS, formerly called Mormon listeners out there know that the LDS Church just gave $4 million last month on May 15th to the so-called refugee resettlement contractors, the 9 organizations that are making big money off of this racket. They gave $4 million. So if you're paying tithes to the LDS Church, you're part of the problem. I don't know why the LDS Patriots aren't surrounding the temple in Utah like the Hong Kong million Hong Kong people did over, that's just a proposed law in Hong Kong, 1 million, 2 million out of 7 million out there protesting. I haven't heard one single voice raised here from my LDS and Mormon friends about this $4 million that's being given to bring in, essentially you bring in more Muslims because, Idaho has so far received 24,000 of these refugees, not just 380 last year. That's 380 too many. 24,000, 90% have been Muslims. So I've heard my LDS friends complain about the threat of Sharia law. They've complained to me about more mosques being built, such as in Kuna. Where are they in protesting this money being given to these agencies? And, the church brags about this. It's on their website. We don't have to get it from some other party. It's on newsroom.com, churchofjesuschrist.org. Church provides $4 million donation to U.S. refugee resettlement agencies. And they're all named in this article. It's some that you're familiar with and have heard of: World Relief, Hebrew International Aid Society, International Rescue Committee, that's the IRC that was mentioned earlier in some of your spots, the Lutheran Immigration Refugee Service, the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops. These are the groups that they gave the $4 million. So the LDS people are supporting this invasion.
Well, that is unfortunate. And, you'll be labeled a bad person. We'll be labeled a bad person for having you on. But, Jim, you've put that succinctly of the issues that we've had and many people that have moved in. We did have a big terrorist issue thanks to the FBI and the Boise Police and Ada County and local law enforcement working with the feds to stop that bomber.
Correct.
Nobody covers that anymore.
No, that's not reported anymore or mentioned, but
right.
Boise really dodged a bullet on that. He was going to blow up Gowan Field, and he was vetted. We talk about vetting. The Boston bombers were vetted. Kurbanoff was vetted in Boise. the vetting doesn't work. That's not going to save you.
Right. And again, you have people saying, well, it's not fair. Well, life isn't fair.
Yes, but I mean, these people, I think probably a lot of your listeners out there, my good LDS and Mormon friends, they're probably not aware of this kind of a backdoor. You better check into what your church is doing.
Even if they are, I mean, the church hierarchy pretty much calls the shots.
Yes, and that's.
I mean, look, I have the same issue with the Catholic Church.
Yes,
and where you have this Pope who kind of calls his own shots, and he's sending money to the people at the border.
But Kevin, I mean, don't we have to think about this for the grandchildren's sake?
I agree with you, and that's why Donald Trump is the best thing that has happened to us, and Donald Trump needs to be reelected.
He's the greatest president ever.
I would agree.
And but he needs, we shouldn't have to rely only on the one-man president in this country. Where are the patriots?
Well, the patriots are afraid of being called names.
They better get over that fast or it's all lost.
Well, I mean, it's just like the gentleman that we had on the first hour talking about, writing the book and stuff. That's what they do. And, in America today that we have young people in their 30s thinking that socialism is the future of this country shows you how far we've fallen and how the burden of what we have to do to bring them back.
Yes, sir. If 1 million Chinese can stand up in the streets out of 7 million, then a few thousand patriots in Idaho can stand up too.
I agree. Jim, thanks for the insight.
Okay, thank you.
580-5436, 580-KIDO. If you weren't listening earlier, we were talking about the story coming from Channel 7. The refugees have been cut in half. You have the refugee organization saying it's a bad thing. You have others saying, look, we've had our own situations here in the Treasure Valley. Assimilation has happened in some cases, but you have, the issue in Kuna where you have the young lady accusing 3 people of the rape. You have the situation with the bomber in Boise, other issues as well. Now, again, that's painting with a broad brush. My concern with anybody that comes to America from anywhere is, do you want to be an American? Do you want to be an Idahoan? Or do you just, and this is true with people from other states. When we talk to people here, and we have people, and I'm sure people that come in that just move here or what have you, do you want to be here? Because if you want to be here, then you love the flag, then you love America, and you understand it's not about you and where you are from, it's about where you want to be. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Blessed to be with you, Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. Coming up, Bernie Sanders. Well, Bernie wants to make college tuition free. He wants to get rid of $1.6 billion, or is it trillion, in student loan debt. We'll talk a little bit about that first. Back to the refugees, Blair in Boise with Kevin Miller. Good morning, Blair.
Hey, good morning, Kevin. Hey, I had a thought on the immigration policy, and here's what I would propose, and that is, if you want to come into the United States, you have to get a sponsor, and that sponsor has to post a $10,000 bond that stays around until you become a citizen. You don't get to become a citizen in which you prove that you're a good citizen. You learn the ways of the United States. You learn our laws. You agree to live by them. And here's the kicker. The person that sponsors you is criminally liable for any felonies that you commit. And any felony that you commit while you're in the United States for your probation period is an automatic disqualifier for citizenship. What say you?
I like that idea, but here's one even to take it to another level. Let's see if you like this one, Blair. I'll see your sponsor and come back at you with, if you want to move to Australia or Mexico or anywhere else, you've got to have a skill and you've got to have an income. You come here, we give you the skill, we give you the income, but here, what can you do for America? How can you make America better? What's in it for us allowing you into our country?
No, I totally agree.
Yeah. I like that idea of holding people accountable. And look, here's a $10,000 bond. blah, blah, blah. And we're going to take that money, and these people have to show up. Anybody who's gone through the legal citizenship thing, they'll tell you it's horrible. I mean, they question your marriage. They question your background. They question everything about you. You're treated like a criminal if you come to this country legally, as opposed to the illegals that come in and run wild and free. That's the sad truth.
I just think that at the end of the 5 years, I mean, you'd already have a court date set because you know exactly when you're going to be in there. You know what time you have to repair. You know how long you've got to prove yourself. I think it would streamline things significantly.
Blair, we appreciate it. Thank you.
I listen every morning. Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Appreciate Blair listening to KIDO Talk Radio, traffic and weather together. Let's get you to work safely and on time. Good morning, Robin. Let's go to Jim in Middleton. Jim, good morning.
Good morning, Kevin. How are you?
Oh, not bad. And you?
Just right.
Like that, just right.
Hey, Kevin, just to correct the last caller in regards to the sponsorship, that's basically already the way it exists, okay? I know that because I have a son-in-law that came over from Europe. And my daughter and my son-in-law have a baby, and they're working very hard. They have a business, and he's just having a tough time getting citizenship, okay? And he's not drawing a nickel from the system. But you walk in across the border, and everything's handed to you. So this immigration thing is just a farce. Anybody that really wants to work the certain segment of our political party doesn't want those people because those people are self-sufficient, self-reliant, and won't rely on government too heavily. So they don't figure that they're going to get a vote from them. That's what this boils down to. But I did want to correct, that wouldn't help making somebody accountable for a immigrant coming over because that's already here. But the problem is, Kevin, and this is what we all need to focus on. They say the immigration system's broken and we need to fix it. No, we need to fix and get some good politicians in office that uphold the law. I'm sick and tired of hearing about our broken immigration system, and I'm doubly sick of hearing politicians tell me it's broken. No, them lame SOBs are broken. They're corrupt, they're lining their pockets, and they just continue to fill us full of crap and urinate down our backs and tell us it's raining. Anyway, Kevin, there it is, and I'll stay in touch with you.
Appreciate it, Jim. Keep your powder dry.
I will, sir.
All right, thank you. Jim in Middleton joining us. All right, Bernie Sanders wants to cancel $1.6 trillion in student loan debt. Thank you, Uncle Bernie. By the way, big debates coming up between the libs, the little libs, and the big libs. And what we're hearing in the lib presidential primary is that Bernie Sanders is getting his lunch handed to him by Elizabeth Warren. She's outliving. She's the princess of progressivism. And Bernie appears to be the punching bag of progressivism. Doesn't help that the media has decided to give Bernie the Trump treatment. However, Bernie strikes back. And again, this is what I love. Bernie comes out with a plan, and all the devious little libs say, yeah, we're going to do that too. But I'm of this ethnic persuasion. I'm of this gender. We don't need old Bernie doing it. We're just going to take his ideas, claim them as our own, and move on. Like him or not, Bernie's an original. Like him or not, Bernie's made socialism mainstream, right? So if you're one of the millions, or maybe it's your kids that are drowning in student loan debt, Uncle Bernie to the rescue. Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders says he wants to get rid of student debt entirely. Now, would that be retroactive to the people that paid off their student loan debt? He will put his plan before Congress that would strike down $1.6 trillion in student loan debt for 45 million people. So shame on all of you that paid off your student loan debt. By the way, bankruptcy does not wipe out student loan debt. Boy, the credit card company's got to say, how can we get a deal like that? Anyway, Sanders' plan applies to all and would be paid for with taxes on people that make money. In other words, Wall Streeters. Now, $1.6 trillion for 45 million people? Boy, wouldn't it be great if we applied $1.6 trillion to our national deficit or debt? We'll discuss it next, plus more of your phone calls on the refugees. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio, 107.5 FM, 580 AM. Good morning, Maggie. Rolling right along. Kevin Miller in the morning at KIDO Talk Radio. Your home for Fox News on the radio. Our friend, our colleague. I was trying to think of something else, but I just kind of get flustered when she's on. Rachel Sutherland joins us. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Kevin.
Boy, this immigration issue continues to resonate. Obviously, the story that you guys at Fox have been on top of all morning long about the children being moved because of the conditions. You've got now Joe Biden laying out his immigration priorities, going after the president. Just when you thought, people coming in would be the story, now you have to do the story of how to handle them, and that spills over into the upcoming, I'm sure, Democratic presidential debate.
Oh, right, and that is coming, and right ahead of it, the former vice president wrote an op-ed for the Miami Herald saying that President Trump has replaced sound strategy with hostility and inflammatory rhetoric. Biden thinks that the solution really can be found in increasing prosperity in Central America and also in Mexico. He does, though, support the idea of reforming asylum laws so that things can be more clear. And he also laid out a plan for dealing with those so-called dreamers, people who are brought here illegally as children. He says dreamers are Americans and Congress needs to make it official. But he didn't really go into citizenship for others who are here illegally. And this all comes as, the president's still planning that crackdown, the ICE raid, if Congress doesn't come up with a deal to close some of the loopholes and deal with the asylum rules. So, and he gave them 2 weeks to do it. But the thing is, Congress is getting ready to what we call jailbreak at the end of the week for their July 4th recess. So the clock is ticking on that. And even if they do pass something, the president is threatening to veto it because it doesn't include more detention beds and money for the border barrier.
Indeed. Rachel, if I could ask you to put on your analyst hat for a minute, Joe Biden seems to be running a general election campaign as opposed to the other candidates. Do you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. From the very beginning, he was running a general election campaign. I remember I went out to Pittsburgh for his kind of unofficial launch there, and already he was staffed up to the gills. I mean, even Dr. Jill Biden had a staff. So he had a general election campaign from the very beginning, and Joe Biden has really tried to do his best to almost ignore everybody else in the primary. I mean, there are 24 people running, and with this debate coming, though, he's going to have to separate himself out and maintain his lead. His lead has actually been shrinking, according to the latest Real Clear Politics Average polls. He's now up 15 points. At one point, that was a 30-point spread, so that's quite a difference. And it's really, Bernie Sanders has been coming up and doing well, but also keeping an eye on Elizabeth Warren. She is now third in the average of polls, and in some polls, she's second. So she's really nipping on Joe Biden's heels. In fact, the latest Emerson poll has Biden with 34% and Sanders 24%, Warren 14%. Other polls she does a little better. So she's someone really to keep an eye on as we move forward in this. And I think, Kevin, once these first debates are over, you got to see some of these 24 candidates dropping out. The money will just run out, the steam will run out, and this pool will start narrowing.
I'm with you. It's fascinating that going back to this Joe Biden issue on immigration, where he's trying to thread the needle, satisfy the Democratic base by ripping the president, yet offering a solution to some folks that might be squishy when it comes to their support with President Trump, kind of like the Paul Ryan wing of the party.
Right. Joe Biden is going after people who have maybe felt politically homeless. Maybe they're not. Maybe they were never Trumpers, or they can't really go for the far left policies of, say, Bernie Sanders and the free college education and writing off student debt for 45 million Americans. So he's got a different way. He wants to kind of take that middle path, but then you've got the base of the Democratic Party, which is far to the left, and they're going to go for someone like Bernie Sanders or maybe Kamala Harris, Elizabeth Warren. Pete Buttigieg also doing well, but is just kind of hanging toward the 1, 2, 3. He's fifth in the Real Clear Politics average polls. And then you've got folks that are really down there, like Julian Castro, people you may have forgot that were running, like Governor Inslee, Tulsi Gabbard not doing well. So some of these we've got to see bouncing here sooner rather than later.
Now, Rachel, I have to tease you on this. Come on, we need to the more the merrier, at least for a little while, at least till September, maybe. Huh?
Maybe I could be wrong, and that they won't start dropping out. Maybe I'm thinking I want to, put my dry erase board away. But yeah. I mean, the bottom line is that when things start shaping up, and the polling will start to shift after these first debates, because we're going to see a lot. We're going to get Joe Biden having to face off with his own counterparts.
Right.
I mean, he's not a general election campaigner yet, even though he's been running one. So he's going to have to face the others who have different ideas than he does, and he's going to have to hold his own during these debates.
All right, Rachel, do you have a minute? If not, I'll reluctantly let you go. What do you make of, and I love talking about this here on KIDO Talk Radio with Fox News Radio's Rachel Sutherland. So what do you make of Elizabeth Warren out Bernieing Bernie this time? People say she's the biggest threat. She's out polling him. She's actually out progressing Bernie Sanders right now initially.
In some respects, she is. But if you look at her college debt plan, it's different than Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders is all about just wipe it out for everyone, 45 million Americans, and then he wants to pay for it by going after Wall Street speculators and taxing those transactions. Elizabeth Warren wants to wipe out debt, but it's not for everybody. Say you're making what appears to be a lot of money. You're making $200,000 a year. You're not going to get college loan debt relief. So she's got different kinds of plans. Maybe in some respects she's a little bit right of Bernie, but in other respects she's not. They're different candidates. She's definitely a strong woman. It's interesting to see that. But then so is Kamala Harris. So you have a wide diversity in this group of candidates. So you didn't see. I mean, it was a big deal when Hillary Clinton was running, both in 2008 in 22, and then back in 2016. So now this board here is chock full of women. So you have a lot of different kinds of folks. But as far as Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders, I guess they're similar in a lot of respects, but they do differentiate themselves at least somewhat.
Rachel, I won't press my luck. We always appreciate you.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you, Rachel Sutherland, Fox News Radio only on KIDO Talk Radio. So I'm scurrying the web here, and this Oregon story continues to fascinate people across the country. In fact, now you have the Wall Street Journal doing a profile on some of the Oregon Republican senators. What we know now is, according to the Wall Street Journal, that we have the missing Oregon Republicans are taking refuge in the state of Idaho. They're changing hotel rooms. They're using burner phones. Is this any way to run a republic? And you have the Wilmette Week quoting the article, I was like, I've got to get out of here. So we don't know really where the senators are, but they told the Wall Street Journal that they are hiding out in Idaho. They bought burner phones to outwit the Oregon police. At first, they decided to go to the state of Washington, but they figured liberal Governor Inslee wouldn't be sympathetic to his cause. Quote, what better way to energize that campaign than return to the intransigent Republicans so they can vote on climate change, Knopp told the Wall Street Journal. I was like, I've got to get out of here. Knopp is now camping out in Idaho, watching Senate sessions on his iPad and using scant cell reception to Skype his 11-year-old daughter. Well, I guess he's in a campground somewhere. Look, Senator, there's no reason for you to be hiding out in the campground. You come here to the broadcast center. We have security. We have Linda and Cindy at the front desk. Well, usually they do let everybody in. So Well, tell them not to let the Oregon State Police in. And by the way, we love the Oregon State Police. We love the Idaho State Police. But this is a fascinating story where you have the Senate Minority Leader also confessed his location to the Wall Street Journal. They say they're going to stay in Idaho for months if needed. Well, look, you might as well come in and hang out with us. Now, in Idaho, you've got the state controlled by Republicans. Police said they would not help search for the senators because they haven't broken any state laws. Now, again, does this sound like anything that you would want to be a part of? If, in fact, you're in the state of Oregon, if you're in Oregon and you're thinking to yourself, man, Eastern Oregon, I got to get out of here, move to Idaho. Well, no, we don't want anybody to move to Idaho. If you're conservative, you can move to Idaho if you can afford it. But here we have state senators camping out using burner phones. I think they should all come on this program and we could broadcast in kind of like what we used to do to the old East Germany. We could broadcast into the occupied Oregon and urge people to support these conservative leaders. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Let's go to Gary in Nampa with Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Gary.
Yeah, I'd like to state that Idaho does have an interest in this bill over in Oregon. Granted, we get a little money from the hiding senators, but the biggest thing is if that bill goes through, it'll end logging over in Oregon, and we're going to be breathing the smoke from the forest fires that will be raging because the forests aren't maintained.
As opposed to breathing our own forest fires here, we'll have the Oregon forest fires too.
Well, we'll have them all, but that does give us, a little skin in the game.
Well, what would you say to the senators if they're listening?
I think they have to stay away. It's a lousy way to run things, but as those senators pointed out, they don't have an electoral college on the state level, and this is the only way they're representing the vast amount of rural area over in Oregon. Most of Oregon splits at the Sierra Nevada or the Cascades there. You've got the east and you've got the west in Oregon, and they are two separate states, politically.
Well, we need more land here in Idaho, Gary.
Well, we've got a chunk of them that's on our time zone because they're closer related economically and everything to us than they are to Oregon. But, I lived over in Oregon for a while.
What was that like?
Well, I lived in Ontario. It wasn't much different from here, but except I did not agree with the city politics there at all, but that's a totally different issue. But, yeah, Western Oregon just got steamrolled by the Eastern Oregon, and they were not politically aligned at all. And it was pretty much like you didn't have representation.
Well, that's why you got these senators on the run.
That's right. That's why I say I don't see that they have much option. But on this particular bill, I think the stakes are so high. It'd be just like putting in the new Green Deal. The stakes would be so high that, whatever tricks you may need to do, you've got to fight it however you can.
Gary, thank you for listening to KIDO Talk Radio.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. And we are openly urging our Republican state Senate brothers and sisters in Oregon, you have a home here with Kevin Miller in the morning. We shall overcome. Liberty Linda, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio.
Good morning, Kevin. Sanctuary Welcoming Station. Did you wake up those overnight guests sleeping on your couches there at KDIO Radio?
We can't confirm or deny how many people that we have here at the broadcast center. And we're just going to leave it at that because we're probably being monitored right now by Governor Brown.
Well, a few people around the building there have said they were hearing extra snores coming out during the night. But, these are just rumors.
We are a welcoming radio station, just like Mayor Beater wants.
Well, we all love you, and you are very welcoming. And so anyway, we were just wondering about your guests sleeping on the couches there this morning. But anyway, President Trump wasn't supposed to win the election. Oops, he did. Now the Dems are literally going crazy. They now are saying simply, our president has lost his mind. Kevin, they have tried everything else in the book. So that's all they can say now. That's all it's left to say. And, their lies on the news are not working. And so they don't know what to do anymore. People are actually, President Trump is helping so many people in this nation that it's overcoming their lies that we're hearing on the news. And it's marvelous. It's absolutely wonderful. And I think he was right that he didn't do what he said he would do to Iran. He's not only a strong leader, Kevin, he has common sense. And that makes him like us. And I think that's why we love him so much. What do you think?
Well, I agree. We love you, Liberty Linda. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And we will not confirm nor deny how many people that we have sleeping over here from Oregon. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. More of your calls on welcoming the senators from Oregon. Maybe we should have a party for them. All right, quickly to Joe in Nampa. Good morning.
Kevin, Joe Bell, how are you?
My man, Joe.
Hey, so God and Country tomorrow. We should invite those senators from Oregon to the God and Country rally.
We should put them up on the stage. That'd be great.
I think that'd be awesome. So we're looking forward to it, and thank you for all you do at Nampa, and we're looking forward to joining you.
Well, we can't wait to catch you and your wife on the post-game show right after the fireworks, which you'll hear the music on here. So
that's going to be a great time. Tammy's pretty excited about it, and we'll have a great time, Kevin.
Well, I can't wait because I don't want to talk at 10:30 at night, so we'll be hearing what you have to say, you and Tammy.
Well, you just leave it to Tammy. She'll take care of it for you.
Thank you, Joe.
All right. Thanks, Kevin. See you, buddy.
See our great friend Joe Bell, the pride of Nampa, Idaho. Mary, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio. Hello, Mary.
Good morning, Kevin. I'm hoping you know who I am by the sound of my voice because I kind of have a distinctive voice.
The young lady with the nice sunset or sunrise on her porch there. Yes, I've been in your home. Yes.
Yeah, well, anyway, I have 2 bedrooms that are private. I have Wi-Fi hookup, got good water, good food, and nobody would ever find those Oregon senators, only 2 of them. We can only put up 2 at this location. So if they do contact you, Kevin, just keep in mind that, we won't charge motel, hotel rates, and they can have a nice little vacation.
I believe, and having been to your home, I can attest to I can back that up. You are correct. They wouldn't find them, and number one. Number two, it's a great place to live and to visit.
Well, thank you. I just hope they contact you because I bet there's a lot of your listeners that would be happy to put them up.
We'd love to put them up. Mary, thank you.
Okay. Have a good day.
Okay.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you, Mary. Appreciate it. We'll squeeze in Jason from Star. Jason, good morning.
Hey, good morning. I found this story to be amusing and bizarre and a little weird, but as a conservative, kind of reading between the lines and thinking bigger picture well into the future, it really troubles me the precedent that this continues to set, or just how far big government and liberals are willing to go to force people against their will. And I'm sure they're breaking some technicalities. And I don't think it's wrong if we were in a classroom to extrapolate just how far could this go if these guys really wanted to hold up somewhere. This Kate Brown was the same governor who pushed the state police regarding the wildlife refuge standoff to bring it to a close. And it's never going to get to that level. I realize that. But they're using technicalities to this gal is saying, I'm going to use the state police to seek these men out.
Exactly, Jason. Good morning, Robin.